Do you feel like life has put you on pause? That everything you desire seems to be out of your reach? Perhaps it's not a punishment, but a preparation. In this video, we'll explore how every challenge, every weight, and every silence can be signs that you're being molded for something greater. Discover how Buddhist wisdom can help you find peace in uncertainty and trust in life's process, because sometimes what seems like a delay is actually a disguised blessing. If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more insights on finding peace, purpose, and clarity through Buddhist wisdom. Let's get into it. What now seems empty is full of purpose. Sometimes we find ourselves in moments of life where everything seems stagnant, nothing moves, nothing advances. You feel like the world keeps spinning, but you're still in silence, on pause. And that silence weighs on you. You wonder if you're wasting time, if you did something wrong, if you've strayed from the path. But in Buddhism, emptiness is not synonymous with absence. Emptiness is possibility, it's potential, space for something new to emerge. When we observe carefully, we notice that bamboo takes years to grow underground before showing its first shoot. But that waiting time is not lost time. It's the time when its roots expand, strengthen, and prepare to sustain what will come later. This is how your life works too. Maybe you don't see it now, but you're growing roots. You're growing inward. You're strengthening something that will later sustain what you desire to receive. The mind that always seeks quick answers and visible results gets frustrated, but the heart knows. The soul remembers. Learning doesn't happen only when everything is going well. It happens especially in the midst of emptiness, because that's where you truly listen to yourself, where everything superficial falls away and what's true remains. Many of the great Buddhist masters speak of stillness as a form of wisdom. You don't need to do and do. You don't need to run after anything. Sometimes simply sitting with yourself with what there is and breathing is already part of the process. You're learning to inhabit the present without needing it to be different. You're discovering that who you are now, in this moment, is already enough. Pain comes when you resist emptiness, when you see it as a threat, as a loss. But if you can look at it with different eyes, from calm, from practice, you'll discover that within that apparent nothingness, there is purpose, there is direction, there is preparation. The path continues even if you don't see it with your eyes, and that is the beginning of something greater. Waiting is not loss, it's transformation. In the culture we live in, we've been taught that waiting is wasting time, that if you're not advancing, you're going backward, that if you don't see a result, then it's not worthwhile. But from Buddhism, waiting is something very different. Waiting is part of the path. It's a silent stage, yes, but deeply active on the inside. It's the ground where transformation has space to happen. In Buddhism, you don't seek to accelerate processes. You honor the natural rhythm of things. Everything blooms when it's ready, not before, and this applies to us too. There are moments when we desire something with force, a change, an answer, a sign, and it doesn't come. We become restless, thinking something is wrong, that we should be somewhere else, doing something else. But if we observe with depth, we'll see that right in that waiting, a purification is occurring, an invisible readjustment that prepares us to receive with more consciousness what is coming. Thich Nhat Hanh used to say that when we plant a seed in the earth, we don't go shouting at it to grow faster. We water it, care for it, give it light and time. We trust, and we must do the same with ourselves. Every experience you're living now, even the most confusing or painful, is teaching you something. It's tuning you, filing you, molding you. What once hurt you now strengthens you. What once made you impatient now teaches you to let go. You're not losing time. You're shedding layers. You're learning not to live from the need to control everything. You're letting life teach you its wisdom, show you how to flow without resistance. And that is part of awakening. When a caterpillar encloses itself in its cocoon, it's not doing nothing. From the outside it seems inactive, but inside a metamorphosis is occurring. Its form is changing. It's dying as what it was to be reborn as something new. And that transformation cannot be forced. It requires time, trust, surrender. This is also how your path is. Waiting is a disguised blessing. It invites you to look inward, to rediscover yourself, to heal what hasn't yet been spoken, to rest what hasn't yet been released. Because only when you're empty of everything can you receive what you truly deserve. Don't rush. Don't judge yourself. Don't believe you've stopped. You're being transformed, and that transformation is not loss. It's growth. It's maturity. It's the deepest gesture of love you can have with yourself, giving yourself time to be. Trust. Everything that seems like waiting is actually path. When you don't know where you're going, life does. There are moments when you feel like you're walking without a map. Nothing is clear. Decisions weigh heavy. Doubts accumulate. And inside, you forms that uncomfortable sensation of not knowing where to go. Maybe you're going through a transition, a change of direction, a loss, or simply that silence that comes when life seems to give you no signal. And yet, even there is direction. Buddhism teaches that you don't always need to see the end of the path to trust in each step. What's important is not knowing exactly where you're going, but walking with consciousness, with presence, with openness, because many times the most important destinations are not seen at the beginning. They reveal themselves while you walk, and the only way to reach them is not to stop. The mind seeks certainties. It wants to control, trace plans, anticipate. But life, from the Dharma's perspective, is not a straight line. It's more like a river. Sometimes it flows with force, other times it stops, bifurcates, coils in on itself, and you're inside that river. You can fight against the current, but that only generates exhaustion. Or you can surrender to the flow, knowing that every curve, every whirlpool has meaning, even if you don't see it yet. What today seems like confusion to you may be redirection. What you feel as a loss of direction may be the way life is moving you away from paths that weren't for you. You don't always have to understand. Sometimes you just have to remain, breathe, continue. Because while you wonder where you're going, life already knows. There's a Buddhist saying that goes, "Don't seek the path, walk the path." It's a simple phrase, but it contains a profound truth. Stop looking so much at the destination and start living the journey. Every moment has something to give you, even the grayest, even the most silent. Think about how many times in your life something you didn't understand made sense with time. How many times a delay was protection. How many times a no saved you. It's easy to see it looking back, but now it's about trusting forward too, because there's a deeper intelligence that sustains you. Call it universe, life, dharma, nature. It's in everything, and it's also in you. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to have control. What you need is to breathe and take the next step, just one, with calm, with trust. And if there's no clear step, then stay there with yourself, because even when you don't move, you keep advancing inside. Life never stops. So if today you don't know where you're going, it's okay. Breathe. Life does know. You just keep walking with an open heart. What you desire is also forming you. We desire many things. A love that understands us, a job that inspires us, a change that frees us, peace, purpose, meaning. Sometimes we desire them with force, with intensity, with a mixture of urgency and hope. But we rarely stop to see how that desire also transforms us. Because in Buddhism, desire is not only a goal, it's also a mirror. And what you're seeking out there is often coming to you from within. What you desire is also seeking you, yes, but not in the romantic or magical sense of things that arrive without more. It's seeking you to the extent that you become capable of receiving it. Life, from the Buddhist perspective, doesn't deliver what you ask for. It delivers what you can sustain with consciousness, with presence, with wisdom. Maybe you want a healthy relationship, but you're still learning to love yourself without conditions. Maybe you dream of freedom, but you're still releasing fears that bind you. Maybe you seek peace, but inside you, there's noise that first needs to be heard. It's not that the universe denies it to you. It's that it's preparing you. And that preparation can hurt, can confuse you, can seem unfair, but it's exact and necessary. In Buddhism, there's much talk about cause and effect, not as punishment or reward, but as natural consequence. If you plant an apple seed, you'll harvest apples. If you cultivate patience, compassion, clarity, then life will bring you what's in harmony with that. Not because you deserve it more or less, but because you're in tune with what you ask for. Imagine for a moment that desire is a call, but that call also needs a response. It's not enough to ask. You have to become the space where what you desire can arrive, stay, flourish. Do you want love? Learn to receive it. Do you want abundance? Learn not to cling to fear. Do you want peace? Learn not to react to every thought that passes. What you seek is also forming you, polishing you. And if it hasn't arrived now, it's because you're still under construction. You didn't fail, you're in process. Desire sets you in motion, but it's the path that transforms you. Every step, every wait, every renunciation, every small practice of presence brings you closer not only to the result, but to the being you need to be to sustain it. That's the beauty of life from the Buddhist vision. It's not about running towards something, but about awakening to what you are while you walk. And maybe you wonder how much is left, why it takes time, why it doesn't come. But if you look honestly, perhaps you'll discover that you're no longer the same person who desired that for the first time. You've changed, you've grown, and that's a sign that what you long for is also changing, adapting to your new consciousness. There's a dance between you and your desire. It's not a chase, it's a mutual construction. So don't despair if it hasn't arrived yet. Look at how you're preparing, how you're learning to let go, to listen, to trust. What you desire also needs you to be someone who can sustain it with love, and not with anxiety, with gratitude, and not with lack. And that, even if you don't see it, is profound work, sacred work, because you're not just waiting for something to happen, you're becoming the person capable of living it with fullness. And when that aligns, there will be no force in the world that can stop it. Every fall brings you closer to what you deserve. Falling hurts, there's no pretty way to say it. When things break, when plans fail, when a relationship ends, when health breaks, when life doesn't turn out as you expected, the first thing you feel is the cold, unjust, sometimes paralyzing blow. And it's normal for it to hurt. It's normal to think you're going backward, that you've failed, that you're further than ever from what you dreamed. But from the Buddhist vision, falling is not failing. It's part of the path toward understanding. It's one of the most direct, though most difficult, ways to awaken. The mind wants stability. It wants things to always go well, without scares, without surprises. But life is not like that. Life changes, and Buddhism doesn't seek to eliminate that change. It embraces it. Because every change is an opportunity to release what no longer serves and open space for what does. When you fall, you're not going backward. You're seeing clearly what you couldn't see from comfort. Suffering, though not desirable, can be a teacher. It shows you your attachments, your illusions, your rigid expectations. It puts you face to face with what you cannot control. And that, though uncomfortable, is wisdom. Falling forces you to stop, to reevaluate, to look inward. And many times it's in that gaze where true transformation begins, when you have no choice but to accept, to let go, to stop fighting with what you cannot change and start cultivating a deeper peace. That which is born when you realize you can sustain yourself even without all the things you believed indispensable. Buddhism teaches that suffering is not eliminated by ignoring it, but by crossing through it with consciousness, being present even in the midst of pain, breathing within chaos, not denying it, not repressing it, not disguising it with empty optimism, but inhabiting it with compassion. That is practice. And with time, if you look back, you'll see that every fall was a threshold, that after every loss came learning, that for every person who left, something in you grew, that for every plan that didn't work, a new direction emerged. Maybe you didn't see it at the moment, maybe you still don't see it, but all that silent reconstruction has been bringing you closer to a more authentic version of yourself. When you're on the ground, you don't see yourself, you only see pain, but the ground is also a starting point. From there you can build something new, and sometimes what you construct after falling is stronger, more real, more yours. Every fall reminds you that you don't need to have everything under control, that you can let go, that you can trust that even when you don't understand the why, there's a purpose gestating in the depths. The ego breaks, yes, but the soul expands, and that's what counts. So if today you feel broken, if you're going through a dark moment, don't believe you're far from what you deserve. Maybe you're closer than ever because you're cleaning, organizing, learning to receive from another place, a fuller, freer place. The fall is not the end. It's the ground where something much greater begins. Calm is not stagnation, it's silent power. We live in a culture that glorifies speed, where moving is synonymous with success and being busy seems like a medal of honor. In that context, being calm can seem strange, even threatening. Sometimes when you decide to stop, rest, listen, the world whispers to you that you're losing time, that you're falling behind. But from Buddhism, calm is not weakness, it's power. A power that doesn't shout, doesn't push, doesn't boast. It's a power that sustains, that observes, that chooses. Calm is not a place where nothing happens. It's a state where everything occurs from the root. Being calm doesn't mean you've stopped advancing. It means you've stopped running aimlessly. You've started choosing your pace, breathing between decision and decision. You've understood that you don't need to force anything for things to happen, because what's destined to flourish blooms in its time, and what's not dissolves in its own silence. In Buddhist practice, sitting in meditation is not losing time. It's meeting yourself, observing the babble of the mind, the murmur of the body, the emotional current that passes like clouds through the sky. It's not about emptying yourself of thoughts, but about not letting yourself be dragged by them. And in that observation, in that stillness, a wisdom is born that cannot be learned in movement. Calm is the place where intuition becomes clear, where decisions are not born from fear but from consciousness, where you stop reacting and start responding. Because when you're calm, you can see, you can feel beyond the surface. You can realize what's real and what's just an impulse. Don't be fooled by appearances. That there's no noise doesn't mean something important isn't happening. Bamboo grows in silence. The earth regenerates in silence, the soul too. Many times the greatest changes occur without witnesses. They're internal, invisible, slow, profound. It's possible you're in a moment of calm, not because you're losing momentum, but because you're gathering strength. Calm allows you to rest from the constant demand of having to be, having to do, having to prove. It invites you to return to yourself, to listen to yourself, to rediscover your center. And from there, from that silent root, you'll be able to act with clarity, with direction, not from urgency, but from wisdom. The strongest warrior is not the one who attacks first, but the one who knows when to wait, who doesn't let himself be dragged by emotions, who breathes before speaking, who observes before acting. So if today you're in calm, don't feel lost. You're exactly where you need to be. You're cultivating that power that doesn't need to shout, that power that expresses itself in the way you choose, in the way you walk, in the way you don't let yourself be broken by the noise from outside. Calm is not stagnation. It's the space where the soul reorders itself, and from that space everything true begins to flourish. Learning to trust without understanding everything. There are moments when life doesn't make sense, days when you wonder why things happen as they do, why a door that seemed so promising closes, why someone leaves when you believed they should stay, why effort doesn't bear fruit immediately. In those moments the mind gets tangled seeking explanations and doesn't find them, because not everything is understood when it occurs. Sometimes understanding comes much later, when we've already released the need to understand. Buddhism teaches us to live with openness, to release the constant need to have answers, not because they don't matter, but because living waiting to understand everything is a form of suffering. It's wanting to control life from logic, when life often moves from the invisible. Trusting without understanding everything is not resignation. It's accepting that there's wisdom in mystery, that there are processes greater than our mind, that what today seems like an obstacle may be the root of a blessing that hasn't yet manifested. And for that it's necessary to cultivate a quiet faith, not blind faith, but deep trust in the invisible network of causes and conditions that form our experience. Imagine you're in a thick forest where you can barely see one step ahead. You don't know what's beyond, but you know the path continues. You could stay paralyzed waiting to see the complete map, or you can take the next step, one at a time, with attention, with presence. That's the trust that Dharma teaches, trusting without seeing the end, trusting without having everything resolved. When you attach to a fixed idea of how things should be, you suffer, because life doesn't always follow your script. But when you accept that you don't need to know everything to keep walking, something beautiful is born. Surrender, and with it, peace. It's not about turning off reason, it's about not letting reason govern every corner of your existence. There are things that are only felt. There are decisions made with the heart. There are moments that only make sense when you live them, not when you analyze them. In Buddhist meditation, we learn to observe without judgment, to see thoughts pass like clouds, not to cling to any of them. That practice translates to life itself. You don't need to understand why something is happening to be able to live it with consciousness. You can be in the middle of a storm and still find within yourself a point of calm. Trusting is recognizing that life has its own rhythm, that you're not lost, that you're not adrift. You're within a process that takes you step by step to where you need to be. Maybe it's not what you had planned, maybe it's not easy, but there's something taking care of you, something guiding you, even in chaos. Learning. To trust without understanding everything is a form of freedom. It frees you from the weight of having to solve everything now. It allows you to live the present with more softness, with more space, and in that space, you grow. So if today you don't know why you're living what you're living, don't worry. You're not failing, you're learning to trust. You're letting life show you the path in its own way, and when you least expect it, everything will start to fit together. How to receive what you're being prepared to live. After so much waiting, so many silences, so much letting go, comes the moment to receive. But receiving is not always as simple as it seems. Sometimes we spend so much time fighting, searching, surviving, that when life finally delivers something good to us, we don't know what to do with it. We doubt, we protect ourselves, we close our heart a little for fear it will hurt again. And that's where many beautiful things escape. Buddhism doesn't see arrival as an end, but as one more part of the path. Receiving is not staying passive, waiting for something to fall from the sky. It's opening from within, being present with the whole body, with the whole mind, with the whole heart to what life offers you, without clinging and without rejecting it. Throughout your path, you've learned to let go. Now is the moment to learn to sustain. Because what's being prepared for you to live, that new stage, that bond, that possibility, needs something more from you than desire. It needs maturity, it needs presence, It needs humility, and that is only cultivated on the path. Maybe before, if you had received what you asked for, you would have lived it from fear, from anxiety, from lack. But today, after all the times you fell and got up, after everything you released and understood, you can receive from another place, from gratitude, from calm, from the certainty that you don't need it to be complete, but that now you can share yourself with it. Receiving is also a practice. It's saying yes without guilt. It's opening yourself to what arrives without needing to control it. It's honoring the process that brought you here. It's not sabotaging the good for fear of losing it. It's accepting that you deserve what you've cultivated. And here enters one of Buddhism's most beautiful teachings. Everything is impermanent. Also, what arrives, what we love, what we value, what we desire, everything changes. That's why the important thing is not to retain but to live it fully while it's here, not to cling but to be grateful, not to demand it last but to honor that it has arrived. When you receive something with this consciousness, there's no anxiety, there's peace, because you no longer see it as a prize you have to protect, but as an experience that has come to enrich your life for the time that corresponds to it. And it's from that peace that you can start to enjoy, not from haste, not from fear, but from presence. That presence you've been cultivating throughout this entire path. So now look at yourself. Observe everything you've traveled, everything you've understood, everything you've healed. It wasn't in vain. Nothing was. Every step, every stumble, every day when you understood nothing, everything brought you here. And now that the new begins to arrive, now that the greater looms on the horizon, remember this. You're ready. Not because you have everything resolved, not because you're perfect. You're ready because you've learned to be with yourself, to trust, to remain, to live from the heart. That's how you receive what you've been prepared to live, with open eyes, soft heart, and soul at peace. And if you've made it this far, breathe deeply. Maybe now you understand a little more why everything has been as it has been. Maybe you can look back with more compassion and look forward with more confidence. You're being prepared for something greater. Don't doubt it. Every silence, every wait, every uncertain step has had its reason. And you're not alone. You're on the path. You always have been. Now you know it. Now you can walk lighter. If this message has resonated with you, subscribe to the channel. Here you'll always find words that embrace, that guide, that accompany. And I'd love to read you. Tell me in the comments what moment of the path you're in now, what you're learning in this wait. Your story can also be light for others. We'll see each other in the next video. With calm, with purpose, with an awake heart, with gratitude, daily Dharma.